It's 2022 and Hips News Series is heading into the future, or as we also know this series as Future Shop. We are looking into the digital age and the pros and cons of it and what should we know. But first,
remember, all I'm offering is the truth.
And on the cool check-in, center stage on the mic.
How y'all feel out there?
Introducing
Get down.
the world famous
I said it hit the news.
Let's go. Now, let me introduce you to the one. Let me introduce you to the
Truth in the place to be, as it is plain to see.
Now,
Hidden in plain sight.
And mind your business.
Watch out.
New World Order.
I'm not gonna take this anymore.
You know what I'm saying?
So what you saying?
Check this out.
good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Hips News. I'm Vessel 1, and with me Vessel 2, and today we're going to take a look at the man, Elon Musk.
Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971 to parents May and Earl Musk, and is a South African-born Canadian-American business magnate, investor, engineer and inventor. He has two siblings, Tosca and Kimball. Musk went to Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario when he was 17 as an undergraduate. And in 1992, after 2 years there, Musk transferred to the University of Pennsylvania. At 24, he received a Bachelor of Science degree in physics from its College of Arts and Sciences and a Bachelor of Science degree in economics from its Wharton School of Business. Musk extended his studies for 1 year to finish the second bachelor's degree. In 1995, aged 24, Musk moved to California to begin a PhD in applied physics and material science at Stanford University, but left the program after 2 days to become an entrepreneur of the internet, renewable energy and outer space. In 2002, he became a US citizen. He is the founder of SpaceX, Neuralink and X.com, which merged with Confinity to become PayPal. He is also the co-founder of Tesla Incorporated, SolarCity, Zip2 and co-chairman of OpenAI. As of March 2017, he has an estimated net worth of $13.9 billion, making him the 80th wealthiest person in the world. In December 2016, Musk was ranked 21st on Forbes' list of the world's most powerful people. Musk has stated that the goals of SolarCity, Tesla and SpaceX revolve around his vision to change the world and humanity. His goals include reducing global warming through sustainable energy production and consumption, and reducing the risk of human extinction by making life multiplanetary by setting up a human colony on Mars. Musk is the chairman of the Musk Foundation, which focuses on providing solar power energy systems in disaster areas. In 2010, it collaborated with SolarCity to donate a 25 kilowatt solar power system to the South Bay Communities Alliance Hurricane Response Center in Coden, Alabama. In July 2011, the Musk Foundation donated $250,000 towards a solar project in Soma, Japan, which had been recently devastated by a tsunamin. In July 2014, Musk was asked by Matthew Inman and William Terbo, the grandnephew of Nikola Tesla, to donate $8 million towards the construction of the Tesla Science Center at Wardenclyffe. Musk agreed to donate $1 million and to build a Tesla supercharger in the museum car park. Musk donated $10 million to the Future of Life Institute in January 2015 to run a global research program aimed at keeping artificial intelligence beneficial to humanity. Musk is also a trustee of the X Prize Foundation and a signatory of the Giving Pledge. Elon Musk has won numerous awards over the years, including the Entrepreneur of the Year Award for his work on Tesla and SpaceX, the Global Green Product Design Award for his design of the Tesla Roadster, which was presented by none other than Mikhail Gorbachev, the National Wildlife Federation National Conservation Achievement Award for Tesla and SolarCity. He is also constantly ranked in the top 10 business newspaper and magazine lists as one of the most influential entrepreneurs and business visionaries. In addition to his primary business pursuits, he's also envisioned a high-speed transportation system known as the Hyperloop, and has proposed a supersonic aircraft with electric fan propulsion known as the Musk electric jet. In the description you'll find a link to his book, Tesla, SpaceX and the Quest for a Fantastic Future. Thanks for watching. If you like this biography, give us a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, please subscribe.
Elon Musk. This man has done a lot.
Yes, he has.
A lot. This is some astonishing feats he's done with such a short amount of time being on the planet.
Right, right.
Education
Exactly.
is a mixture, and all of the companies that he has his hands in is impressive as well. Yeah, it's just I didn't know all of this about him, but I do have a lot of questions. This answered some of them, but there's still a lot of questions I have regarding who he actually is and where his roots stem from. And
Right.
it's interesting to note that he becomes a U.S. citizen in 2002. So
Exactly.
he was Canadian?
Yeah, well, actually, his roots, his grandfather and mother and father Canadian, but he grew up in South Africa.
Born or just grew up?
Um, Born in South Africa.
Okay. But his parents are Canadian.
Canadian.
Okay. Yeah.
And his mother and father are they too have an interesting background, to say the least.
Canada
So,
has an interesting history as far as
yeah.
the rulership there. Yeah.
Um,
I didn't know all of this about him, but yeah, it's kind of it seems a little bit too much for one man to do in such a short period of time.
yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
And I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say he's not educated, as you can see on the screen. He does have some education, but um, his business links are interesting to say the least, especially with regards of the SpaceX.
Yeah. Well, that's all the things that stood out uh, from uh, what he have accomplished. And Zip2 was one of the first businesses that he started, and that's an interesting story because the project of Zip2 was basically like Google Map. It was designed to have companies you can search online or on the internet, but this was before the internet was popular. So he had foresight in seeing that the internet would have been useful, and so he and his brother started this company like a Yellow Pages per se on the internet, and then from that point on, he moved further into which was PayPal and such, and then ultimately doing Telsa motor cars, and then finally SpaceX. Yeah. So this guy has been very busy.
I would say, yeah, and it seems like not a lot of obstacles was placed in his path. With the government connections, you would have to ask what exactly are the connections there, and what kind of agent does that really make him?
Yeah, that's a big question that people seem to let pass by.
Yeah, because to be able to get government contracts in itself is not that easy of a task to do. I would assume, depending on your status, but
Exactly.
to be able to have a space company and a car company where both companies manage to be able to produce products and end up, well, the Tesla part of it, end up killing people without any uh, prosecution is amazing to me. How does that work? I don't know. But I do know that Tesla's cars have damaged and even caused death in some cases, correct?
Yeah, yeah, there have been incidents where there have been accidents or some type of malfunction where the cars have caused serious damage or even death.
And there's no real pushback against the company from my understanding. I could be wrong, but I don't see a black cloud hanging over Tesla,
No time soon.
right?
Yeah.
And then the SpaceX is another one where he was blowing up a whole bunch of rockets.
Not only that, right now there's a big, I wouldn't say scandal, but there's a big complaint, especially they say coming from China or in the UK, that the SpaceX uh, program or the Starlink project is one of the major problems of the future, as they say, because as you know, Elon, he's with the Starlink project, is basically he's sending up these low atmospheric satellites, and these satellites now are about 1900 satellites in our atmosphere. And so they're saying that China and the UK and also Amazon are complaining that there's too many of these satellites that he has sent up, and there could possibly cause damage if some malfunction or if they go off course and hit a spacecraft or a space station and can do some really, really heavy damage. So, but the question is why he's having all these satellites placed. And his reply was to give better internet for the people, or having a stronger uh, uh, broadband, and these satellites are supposed to help with also with the coming of the metaverse as well.
Yeah, that doesn't really, uh, to me, I don't know. It just sounds like he has his hands in a lot of different pots, and none of these pots that he has his hands in has any flavor.
Yeah, well, and you know they say, about power and control. Absolute power corrupts.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
true that. Do you know anything
And
about the solar city?
I heard, I did a little research about Solar City, and that project alone. It's not only Elon Musk, but he has associates, and basically, it's to provide solar power alternative than petrol.
Okay.
Uh,
So that's
is
the uh, green push, go green,
yes, yes, yes,
and then
and it's
the neural link is the implants to the brain.
yes, the Neuralink.
Okay. So
Exactly.
you're dealing with space and the colonization of Mars.
Exactly.
You
Yes.
have
Yes.
futuristic cars that are driven on the planet,
Yes.
which are basically all electronic.
Yes.
And then if you're in the in crowd, you'll be able to have an implant planted inside you to where you're able to control your car, I'm assuming,
Yes.
and then possibly get uh, some type of passcode to join the space race,
Exactly.
and your whole financial situation is taken care of because you have PayPal as your banking system.
Yeah. Yeah. He. That's that. But we cannot forget. Recently, um, he uh was investing or had his eye on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin as well.
Dogecoin, I think that's what he was trying to promote.
So, of
Yeah,
course,
he's interesting character. I don't know how it seems to be uh, people who, well, I guess he's in our age group, so he's the newcomer to the class of stay at home in your garage, uh, computer dedicated kids who all they know is computers. And
oh,
somehow, some way, due to their hard dedication and understanding of computers, they have been able to leap uh, forward in that realm to where they can set up foundations and these companies to uh, pose as, I guess, good organizations. But I guess the future will tell how much of a blessing Mr. Elon Musk is going to be. But it seems like there's still a lot of mystery about him and his background and how he's able to get all of these government contracts is what I question it because I know that is not easy. But yet this person who uh, with minimum obstacles in his way has managed to do so. So hats off to him.
well, I think as you can see, being 13.9 billionaire, I think that gives you some leeway because money talks. You know how these guys get. Again, like I always say, you have to look at not only the front but the back. What's in the background, what's going on, where exactly all this is leading to. SpaceX, Tesla, Solar City, Zip2, Open AI, Future of Life. All these companies are dealing with cyber and cybernetics and like electronics and also the multiverse. So I mean,
He definitely has his foot in the future.
there you go.
He's
That's right.
definitely there. Interesting. Yeah, good or bad? Is he a villain or is he a hero? Time will tell.
Yeah, I would tell.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Go Starlink.
In less than 3 years, SpaceX has launched about 1,800 satellites to build a network called Starlink.
The world seems to have an insatiable appetite for bandwidth. I'm a business magnet. Can someone please change my Wikipedia page to magnet?
They'll change it right now. It's probably already changed.
It's locked. So somebody has to be able to unlock it and change it to magnet.
Someone will get
I want
that.
to be a magnet.
Really is not evolved to think of existential threats in general. We're evolved to think about things that are very close to us, near term, to be upset with other humans, and not to really to think about things that could destroy humanity as a whole. But then in recent decades, just really in the last century, we had nuclear bombs, which could potentially destroy civilization, obviously. We have AI, which could destroy civilization. We have global warming, which could destroy civilization, or at least severely disrupt civilization. You know, it would be something in the same way that humans destroyed the habitat of primates. They're just in the way. You could make a swarm of assassin drones for very little money by just taking the Face ID chip that's used in cell phones and having a small explosive charge and a standard drone, and have them just do a grid sweep of the building until they find the person they're looking for, ram into them and explode. You can do that right now. No new technology is needed right now. Probably a bigger risk than being hunted down by a drone is that AI would be used to make incredibly effective propaganda that would not seem like propaganda.
So these are deep fakes.
Yeah, influence the direction of society, influence elections. Artificial intelligence just hones the message, looks at the feedback, makes this message slightly better. Within milliseconds, it can adapt its message and shift and react to news. And there's so many social media accounts out there that are not people. Like, how do you know it's a person, not a person? The way in which a regulation is put in place is slow and linear,
right?
And we are facing an exponential threat. And if you have a linear response to an exponential threat, it's quite likely the exponential threat will win. That, in a nutshell, is the issue. Yeah, electrode to neuron interface at a micro level, a chip and a bunch of tiny wires. The long-term aspiration for Neuralink would be to achieve a symbiosis with artificial intelligence, and to achieve a sort of democratization of intelligence, such that it is not monopolistically held in a purely digital form by governments and large corporations. And so if we have billions of people with a high bandwidth link to the AI extension of themselves, it would actually make everyone hyper smart. It's probably on the order of a decade. And by the way, you kind of have this already in a weird way, in that you have a digital tertiary layer in the form of your phone, your computers. You basically have these computing devices that form a tertiary layer on your cognition already. Along the way, Neuralink is going to help solve a lot of nerve problems. Like, so, in fact, we're just talking about, okay, what would it take to really solve for spinal cord injuries? We already know how to do this. Implant electrodes into the motor cortex of the brain, and then bypass the severed section of the spine and have effectively local microcontrollers near the muscle groups. It could restore full limb functionality. Very exciting what can be done here. And then just memory. Like, as people get older, they lose their memory. And it's incredibly sad when a mother forgets her children, and that can be solved too. I think we should try to take the set of actions that are most likely to make the future good for humanity. I'm pro-human. And my faith in humanity has been a little shaken this year, but I'm still pro-humanity. Well, I mean, Tesla really faced a severe threat of death due to the Model 3 production ramp. Essentially, the company was bleeding money like crazy and just if we didn't solve these problems in a very short period of time, we would die. And it was extremely difficult to solve them.
How close to death did you come?
Within single-digit weeks.
22 hours a day, or like what? How many hours?
Just working, so 7 days a week, sleeping in the factory. I worked everywhere from I worked in the paint shop, general assembly, body shop. No one should put this many hours into work. This is not good. And people should not work this hard. They should not do this. It's very painful.
Painful in what sense?
It hurts my brain and my heart.
Do you believe in God?
I believe there's some explanation for this universe, which you might call God.
So my concern with the CO2 is not kind of where we are today, or even the current rate of carbon generation, but really if carbon generation keeps accelerating and we keep getting that increase in the Keeling curve, the CO2 parts per million in the atmosphere, and if we keep going and if we're complacent, then I think we could. There's some risk of sort of non-linear climate change. So thus far we've seen the CO2 parts per million be fairly linear on our time scale, although it looks very exponential on geologic time scale. But there are certain potential nonlinear events, like if we raise the temperature to the point where we melt the Siberian traps or something like that.
And methane escapes, yeah.
Yeah, there's just a massive amount of sort of frozen dead plant and animal matter in Siberia. There's potentially trapped gases deep in the ocean. If the ocean warms, that could be released. So, these are just risks that are not wise to take. And since we know that long term we're going to have renewable energy anyway, because we'll run out of oil and gas. It's not going to last forever. So we know where this ends up. This has to end up with renewable, sustainable energy. It's tautological. It's really just a question of, do we try to get there sooner or later? And we should try to get there sooner. It's obvious. Why run the? How long do you want to run this experiment? As I said, I am. People sometimes think I'm sort of like. I'm kind of in the middle of the spectrum. I think if we stopped CO2 production today, which obviously we could not do without civilization coming to a grinding halt, and mass starvation and all sorts of terrible things happening, I think it's probably okay. But if as the world industrializes and we're sort of at 8 billion people, get to 9 billion people, have a lot more industrial output per person, you can see at what might be okay at sort of 400 or 500 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere might become quite dire at 1,000.
Yep.
And the trend is certainly in that direction if we don't do anything about it. So that's why I think it's just probably an unwise experiment to run. Even if you think that this is why I think it should be a compelling argument to even those who would assign a low probability to increased CO2 causing problems. Like, let's say you think it's 99.9% likely that adding all the CO2 to the ocean's atmosphere is going to be fine. So you're saying there's a 0.1% chance of disaster. Well, there's only one. So right now we're going to get one planet. Well, even a 0.1% chance of disaster, why run that risk? That's crazy. So I think what's likely to play out is that we will continue to add a lot more CO2 to the ocean's atmosphere, and also ocean acidification, as you know, is also an issue. You don't want to sort of add carbonic acid to the oceans and change the pH level because it destroys reefs, and it's hard to complain. The outcome so far has been great. Although obviously we've not yet sent anyone to Mars, and hopefully we'll in the future. This is great. Yeah. But of course we have to actually do it, and then tomorrow we've got our third astronaut launch.
What are your thoughts? He was all over the place.
He was all over the place.
Man.
And the things that stuck out the most is when he first started speaking. And as I always say, that you can learn a lot about a person from the first two sentences, two paragraphs that they speak. He was talking about death, destruction, and how to use chip in the phone to um, put it in the drone and make it a bomb. I was like, wow.
Right. That's the villain. That's the villain
Well,
side. And then the other side was the upliftment part of the conversation, where you can
right,
use all of this technology to go ahead and increase humanity. Basically, it's what he was saying. And the whole argument with CO2, it's interesting and it's good to listen to, all sides of the conversation, but if I remember correctly, CO2 is what we breathe out.
yes,
Right?
carbon,
Right?
carbon. That's right, carbon.
So if we're breathing out CO2, which means the plants, from just what I remember, the plants take the CO2 and they turn it back into oxygen.
Yes, for them.
Right?
That's what they need. Yeah, that's correct.
That's what we need to breathe upon the surface of our planet. So
Right,
that is the natural cycle of our existence. We breathe in
right,
oxygen, breathe out CO2. The
right.
CO2 has increased. Wouldn't that be
Yes.
because of the fact that we have deforested a lot of the planet?
Well, if you listen to the conversation of what he's proclaiming, it's in a negative sense. It's that because of there's too many people
Mm-hmm.
that producing CO2
Right.
that it caused climate problems. So he's on the climate control, the green planet side of things, global warming.
I heard that. I got that. Yeah, and
Right,
I know that is, something that is being promoted. But if you keep it to the basics, um, his his comment, as you just stated, was there's more people, so this is the problem with too many people. But
exactly.
because there's so many people and the destruction of the planet when it comes to deforesting the earth, then the planet is unbalanced because of the creation of so-called cities. Right? When you're chopping down all these trees to make the land even so you can rebuild in that area, then you have disrupted nature.
Of course,
Right?
the natural cycle of things.
So
I
then,
concur.
where is the group that says that we should be not only investing our time and effort into a better way of utilizing power and not necessarily draining all the resources out of the earth, but we also need to look at, in my opinion, we also need to look at how to get back closer to nature. And if you're destroying nature just to go to Mars, to colonize Mars, which has no trees and no oxygen, then what are you doing? I don't understand it. If he has
Let's
all of
see.
this means and capabilities to do all of this good, with the technology, then I think going back to the roots of survival here on Earth is more important than trying to race into space.
I totally concur. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And he
Yeah.
should have a more of a tree planting push to increase the oxygen levels, to have a balancing out of the CO2 and oxygen levels. So therefore, we don't have to worry about CO2 being a problem. But I don't see him saying any of those things. It's just interesting to see how people have been able to successfully uh, build companies and have connections with government agencies that your average person just couldn't do. And from, like I said, from listening to his conversations, which I rarely do, just listening to him speak on, what he's knowledgeable about, he doesn't sound like he has a chip implanted in his brain.
I don't think so either. But again, this is why he's featured at this episode because of the things that he has accomplished or that he's talking about or that what he's doing. There again, like I said, there's the front and there's the back. So this is our job at Hips News to uncover or to show what's hidden in plain sight. And again, there's still a lot of questions, or there's more questions than there's answers. So
I agree with you. Yeah, interesting. Elon Musk, interesting character. I salute him. He's in the forefront, and everybody's got their eye on him. Hopefully, he does the right thing with his knowledge and his capabilities.
one and Vessel 2 signing out. But before we go, Vessel 2, give us your final thought.
Thank you, Vessel 1. We like to give a shout out and show appreciation to everybody who's watching the videos, leaving the comments, keep them coming. Reach out to us via email. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. New year. So with that said, please stand on your square, think for yourself, take care of the ones who you consider to be loved ones. Peace.
Peace.